Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I've just finished watching Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 1, the 5-episodic show on Netflix. This is going to be a full spoiler review, obviously, so yeah, go watch it, or, you know, just be warned in case you didn't want any spoilers. There's going to be a bunch of spoilers in here. Also, before we get started, I want to say up front, okay, make this very, very clear so you know the perspective that I came into this with. I did not grow up with He-Man. He-Man was before my time. So obviously I had my own childhood stuff. I grew up on Power Rangers and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, this He-Man was, like a decade, 2 decades before me. Okay, so just so you are aware of how I'm approaching this franchise and this series and any of the controversies that have come up, and I'm gonna dive right into all the controversies right after I give my opinion on the actual show itself. But also, yeah, the controversy that you've probably seen by now online is the reason that I watched this show in the first place. If all this stuff didn't happen on Twitter and YouTube and all this this hot mess of the fandom right now did not blow up, I would not have watched this show. I would not have been inclined to see what the big fuss is about. And basically what I'm saying is the He-Man franchise would not have one extra fan today if all these other people were not getting so angry about it in the first place. So I don't know, thanks, because now I kind of like He-Man. Anyways, so let's just jump right into it. Okay, so my understanding of the He-Man franchise up until this point was that the original 80s series was your typical Saturday morning cartoon that was just made to sell toys to kids, as many shows are. And basically it was just your episodic, the villains try to do something bad, the heroes stop him, and that's basically it, and everything starts over until next week when they do it again. And this first episode definitely plays with that, because it feels like that at first. It feels like it's just going to be another episodic event. The villains are trying to do something, except this show does something that I definitely, and this is what I think they meant when they said this is made for, the fans who are now adults, is because basically what they said was, hey, what if this episodic show where everything was fixed by the end of the 22 minutes, what if that was not the case? What if there's actually consequences to everything that happened? What if the villains got so close to winning that the heroes became desperate and they had to do something drastic, and it affected the entire series, the entire franchise is now changed? Now, again, we're going to talk about the whole controversy afterwards, but I feel like this is where it starts to rub some people the wrong way. I feel like some people wanted the show to just be the original episodic thing all over again. They just wanted more adventures of He-Man stopping Skeletor every Saturday, and then he does it again next Saturday, and then it just keeps happening. I feel like for a lot of people that's the show that they wanted this to be, and it's definitely not that show. So basically by the end of the first episode, He-Man has to sacrifice himself. He dies, and Skeletor dies, and basically they think that they're saving the world, but it turns out the thing that they did by breaking this mystical orb that contained all the magic in the world, it split the power sword in two, and basically the world is now dying because it was all fueled by magic. Magic is the only reason why any of this exists, and without magic everything's slowly dying. And then basically next episode, and for the next 4 episodes, we have jumped 4, 5, 6, I don't know if they ever specify how many years in the future, but yeah, basically the world is now kind of post-apocalyptic. Everything's a little run down and decrepit. Magic is barely a thing, and technology's kind of taken over, and it's sort of Mad Max-ish. And I really, really loved this. Like coming into this as someone who doesn't know anything or barely anything about this world, this was a fantastic way to learn the lore. I genuinely care about this. and I never thought that I would care about He-Man of all things. But like, yeah, the whole world and all the different characters and all the different like groups, I actually care about all of this stuff, which is so surprising to me. I've only been in this world for 5 episodes, and these are not even long episodes. These are 22 minutes each, so like standard TV episodes. But man, if it didn't work, right? Like, so yeah, basically by the end of it, there's another dramatic thing at the end. You know, they get the 2 swords all back together, and they've even convinced Prince Adam / He-Man. They basically convinced him to like, hey, come back from heaven where you are, right? Because he was such a champion, a hero, he was allowed to go to this like paradise heaven place. They basically convince him to come back from there, come back to the real world, use these swords that we now have, summon the He-Man, which would activate magic in this universe again. And at the last second, it turns out that Skeletor had actually been hiding his essence, very Voldemort type style. He had actually been hiding his essence, and he pops back up, he stabs Prince Adam, and takes the sword for himself, and Skeletor summons He-Man, and he becomes, all buff and super Skeletor, he becomes Skeletor Man. And yeah, Adam is laying there. Now, I know that Kevin Smith said that, oh, we killed him twice, but I don't think he's actually dead, because I feel like they would have made it more, concrete that he had died that second time and he's gone forever. It definitely feels like when part 2 comes out, Prince Adam's still gonna be alive, but like injured, and yeah, that's basically the show. A lot of stuff happens in these 5 episodes, but it's not very long. Like, you can very easily binge this in an afternoon. So yeah, I was genuinely impressed, because I feel like the hardest thing that this show could have done, its hardest job would be to get new people to give a damn, to actually get invested, especially in such a short amount of time. But it worked. I fully bought in. Like, by episode 2 and 3, I was here for it. I was like, okay, I'm here for the ride. I'm ready for part 2. I'm ready for part 3. I'm ready for part 5. Just keep it coming, because I don't know what's gonna happen next. And the fact that they were willing to kill people off, especially, it's starting off by killing like your main hero. It felt like it mattered. It felt like, hey, everything that happens here has consequences. It actually matters. It's not gonna be, starting over by next Saturday and everything's fine again. And that was definitely an appeal to the show, because it felt like, okay, there's stakes here, there's dramatics here that can happen, because I don't know who's gonna die and who's gonna be resurrected. I don't know. But yeah, just so as a new fan, as someone who's brand new to this franchise, in this one, the one that is going against the grain of all prior entries in this franchise, this one being the one that I watched first, I loved it. It totally worked for me. Now, I keep repeating that I am not a fan of this franchise and I've never seen it before, because I know that is not how a lot of other people in this fandom feel. So, let's talk about the controversy. Let's talk about everything that happened, okay? So, I guess to break it down, first, I think that we should kind of put everyone who's angry about this in 2 groups, because there are people who are genuinely really angry about this because, because the marketing kind of led it on that it was going to be centric about He-Man and Prince Adam, and that this is going to be a He-Man show, when that is not the case. That's the truth. It's not the He-Man show. Yes, he's in some flashbacks, and yes, he kind of comes back at the end and then gets stabbed, but it's not the He-Man show. It's the Masters of the Universe. And, in fairness to the show, it's not called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It's just called Masters of the Universe. So if anything, that was almost like a tell that, like, hey, this is actually about everyone except for He-Man. But yes, I will, playing devil's advocate here, the poster and the trailers very much made you made it look like, and it made you think that this was going to be a He-Man centric show, that he was the main character and we were following him. and that is not what the show is. So if people are upset about that, it's understandable, because that really is, I would say, deceptive marketing. And they definitely would have, they definitely would have probably had a better reception, I think, if they were upfront, like, hey, we're not going to tell you what happens, but something happens to He-Man, and this is what the show is. Maybe, you could say they just didn't want to spoil it, or maybe, I don't know who's in charge of marketing, if it was like entirely Netflix's call, or if Kevin Smith was involved in that at all. But for whichever reason, maybe because they thought more people would watch it, or because they just wanted it to really be a surprise, they were definitely being misleading at the least, and deceptive at the worst, about what this show was supposed to be in their marketing. So if you're angry about that, if you're angry that this show is not what it was advertised as, okay, I understand that, I get that. I still think the show, what it is actually really cool and really awesome, and I'm sure He-Man will be fine. He's gonna be back, or or someone else will be the next He-Man, right? They even said it, like, yeah, there were champions before you, there'll be champions after you. That's just kind of how it is. But anyways, if you're upset about that, I understand, I get it. Now the other thing about it is that whenever something controversial happens in pop culture, in recent years, it's become very easy for people to kind of take advantage of that situation in these controversial, heated moments, and basically use it either to make a bunch of YouTube videos and get a bunch of clicks, basically monetize the outrage, which is something I talk a lot about in the past, or it's for even more nefarious things, more politically driven things, where everything's about a culture war and fighting the SJWs and the leftists and all, this whole stupid culture war bullshit that it's honestly, half of it is just still to make clicks and, trying to garner the outrage while it's here. And the other half of it is even worse stuff. So, for that kind of stuff, all of that can fuck off. All of the whole culture war bullshit and the clickbaity, just trying to garner up the outrage and try to get the outrage clicks as much as they can, all of that can fuck off. Everyone who does that, you can fuck off, okay? But like I said, if you're generally upset because it was marketed one way and you actually got a different product, okay, that makes sense. Like, I get that. I don't know who's to blame for that. I don't know. The other thing about the situation, the other big controversy, is that there is a certain YouTube channel who I'm not going to name because, talking again about the people who kind of take everything into like a culture war type thing about the SJWs. It's one of those channels. But basically they had posted a leak or a scoop or something that I'm sure they just got from Reddit or whatever. Basically saying that, oh, this is gonna be the Teela show, and He-Man's gonna take a back seat, and this and that. And they tried to they added Kevin Smith on Twitter about this. They're saying like, oh, is this true, Kevin Smith, that this is gonna be your show? Which, of course, this was several months before the show was gonna be released, so he's not gonna say, oh yeah, that's totally true, let me confirm that leaked information right now. So of course he denied it in so many words, right? He didn't like outright say no, but he kind of said like that, well, we're not doing this, and we're not. He basically kind of did some wordplay around basically saying no. And a lot of people got really angry, saying like, how dare you drag these people through the mud, especially when they turned out to be correct, and Teela is basically the main character. And a lot of people were mad at Kevin Smith for this, and my thing about it is like, well, he's not gonna just confirm this months before the show airs. Why would he? Like, especially if the marketing was trying to be deceitful on purpose, basically as a way to kind of just have this big shocking moment where everything goes completely wrong in the first episode, then definitely he's not gonna like reveal that before the show comes out. Like, he wants that first episode to shock people, But anyways, basically the internet's being the internet. A lot of people were angry that he talked bad about this YouTube channel, or that he lied in the first place. A lot of people saying that he lied, but it's like, you know, if someone leaked your thing, you're not gonna like admit it. Why would you admit it, right? The best thing he probably could have done was just not to address it, probably just not say anything at all. Just block him on Twitter, don't even acknowledge him, right? Like that would have probably been the best move. But you know, Kevin Smith is a confrontational guy. He likes to he doesn't ignore people. He straight up just talks to you. Like if you're talking crap, he's gonna confront you about it. That's just kind of his personality type, right? So anyways, I guess in the end, my thing is this, is that if you're upset because the show is not what you wanted it to be, or it's not what the marketing kind of said it was gonna be, I understand that. That makes sense. You have every right in the world to be upset about it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to support part 2 of it. You don't have to watch it at all, right? Like, you know what the show is now, and okay, right? Deal's done? Okay. But if you're out there yelling about SJWs and the culture war and all this other nonsense, you can go fuck off. You can fuck off with all that. Your opinion doesn't mean anything, okay? So that's basically where I'm standing right now. If you're upset about the actual show, then okay. If you're upset about all this other imaginary bullshit that people have constructed around the show and not actually the show itself, then go away. Get out of here. But yeah, in any case, I really enjoyed this. This is my first journey into He-Man. I know there was not just the 80s show, but there was also an early 2000s version of it. So I don't know how good that one was. I'll have to see if that's streaming anywhere. But in any case, I'm kind of invested in the He-Man universe now. I like this, if nothing else, if you like despise this show with all your heart, right? Then that's fair. You don't have to watch it, right? But if nothing else, it made me, at least one person who did not give a damn about He-Man and this whole franchise, it actually made me care. You know, so like it did something right, because I actually care about it now. So yeah, anyways, have you seen He-Man? How do you feel about, or I'm sorry, have you seen Masters of the Universe? Because this is not He-Man show. How do you feel about it? Are you, you know, did you grow up with the original show? Do you care about this whole franchise at all? Or is this your first venture into it? Is this your first steps into this universe? You know how it goes. You know, or are you just angry? Are you angry because the marketing was lying to you? Just let me know your thoughts, you know. And again, I think it's okay to be mad that the marketing was misleading, because I'll fully admit, yeah, it was. Go watch the trailer again. That trailer was misleading you on what this show was, because that is not the show. Now, did that prove to be kind of a bad idea to market that way? I think maybe, yeah. But you know, again, I don't know. They wanted to keep it a surprise, you know. So, anyways, let me know how you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you're feeling about this whole show and everything happening online and all the other nonsense that's surrounding it. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel, and I'll see you guys next time.